In 1998, Enoch Powell died. All political careers end in failure, he had once remarked. His, forever associated with the rivers of blood speech, appeared to be no exception. The strong British identity which he had championed had lost out to the multicultural vision. Britain, it was even said, was now a community of communities. But events were about to bring Powell's thinking centre stage once more.
The rioting lasted for over 7 hours. At times, hundreds of Asian youths were hurling bricks and petrol bombs at the police. Officers were shocked by the rage and the ferocity of the fighting.
In 2001, Asian men, mainly Muslims, rioted in Oldham, Bradford and Burnley. They claimed they were racially provoked and economically disadvantaged.
Those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad.
In his Rivers of Blood speech, Powell had warned that mass migration would lead to segregation. A report into the riots concluded that the white and Asian populations were living a series of parallel lives. There was a lack of shared values uniting multicultural Britain. Powell had prophesied that mass migration would lead first to segregation and then inevitably to disastrous racial and religious division.
It is like watching a nation busily engaged in heaping up its own funeral pyre.
This is London, 9:47 on a midsummer morning. The terrified voices are those of mourning commuters. Some of them terribly wounded.
In 2005, 4 Muslim suicide bombers raised in multicultural Britain killed 52 people in London.
Your democratically elected governments continuously perpetuate atrocities against my people all over the world, and your support of them makes you directly responsible. We are at war, and I am a soldier. Now you too will taste the reality of this situation.
Powell would have, I think, said that this was an inevitable consequence of what he was warning about. That if you have such large numbers of people from another culture coming to this country that they cannot possibly integrate, then they will go their own way. The fact we have all these tensions, to my mind, justifies exactly what Powell said.
After 7/7, the chairman of the Commission for Racial Equality claimed that multiculturalism had left Britain sleepwalking to segregation. Even the architects of multiculturalism were dismayed by its unintended consequences.
The model we had was everyone would share the broad values of being British. What we did not expect was that there would be those who would unwisely suggest that, for example, Sharia law should be applied in this country, or that the punishment of stoning for adultery might be looked at, depending on the kind of stoning, to take a recent example. It never occurred to us that there would be those kinds of unwise challenges to the broad values of a liberal democratic society. And I can remember towards the end of Roy Jenkins' life, his saying to me, you know, we just didn't realize that in the struggle for race equality, we would have also to struggle for a secular society and for the universal values of human rights.
10 years after his death, many believe that Powell's arguments were often prescient. But mention of his name remains a taboo.
We must be mad, literally mad as a nation, to be permitted the annual inflow of some 50,000 dependents.
Powell had been horrified by immigration levels of 50,000 a year. 40 years on, They're over 300,000 a year, 6 times the figure. Many of the immigrants are white East Europeans. Migration has therefore lost much of its racial charge. But worries over the pressure on housing and services and a loss of identity are stronger than ever.
The word on the street is apprehension. The word on the street is that people are leaving if they can. If you look at the composition of people going, it's because they don't actually like largely what's happening to this country.
The sense of alarm and of resentment lie not with the immigrant population, but with those among whom they have come and are still coming.
I don't think we've yet effectively put over just how troubled many of our constituents are by this. And that's worrying, because if you allow things to brew, they can erupt in all sorts of ways, which then it's too late to actually counteract.
Powell's racially charged language led to the rejection of his ideas. His fears over a loss of common identity and the rise of segregation were ignored. Multiculturalism, which was seen as an antidote to virulent racism, took over. Powell had wanted to save his nation from disaster, but his rivers of blood speech inadvertently damaged the country he loved and condemned his career and his cause to the wilderness.